Hi, my name is Juliane Neübuser and I am a university lecturer from Berlin, Germany. I have been invited by Search India International to talk about Germany. So here are a few points. I came up with 11 actually, which are all interconnected, which I like about Germany. And then I want to talk about 4 points which I just don't like about Germany and which need addressing. First of all, we have a very high standard of living. I'm very grateful for that. There's a great know-how in technology, there's an awesome education system, there is environmental sustainability and protection. The employment situation is really great, the working conditions are very good. Family conditions and the infrastructure to raise a family are also really good, which includes sexual orientation and gender identification as a topic. The democracy system is really strong. It guarantees us freedom of speech and expression, has low to no corruption. The diplomatic connections all over the world also provide for a strong passport and travel freedom, which is very important for me personally because I grew up in the Eastern German side, which was a communist side, so travel freedom was a huge topic. We have a very strong healthcare system here in Germany, which helped us to get through the pandemic. The social care system is also one of the best in the world. And Germans have what I call a memory culture. They like to preserve historical things. The good things to keep and the bad things to remember, not to repeat the past's mistakes. And you know about Germany and its past in terms of racism, the Third Reich and Hitler, So racism still unfortunately exists in Germany. This is one of the points I want to highlight as something which is not good. And most of the racism happening in Germany is subtle or everyday racism. Sometimes it's even subconscious because of stereotypical belief systems which people never really got to question. So this kind of racism is mostly unintended, but sometimes it's also intended when it comes to this subtle racism. But then there are also some right-wing extremists in Germany. They are called neo-Nazis. I can't really tell you much about these because I don't have right-wing extremists or neo-Nazis in my friend circle, and hence also which is called like the Facebook bubble. So Facebook would not recommend me such people as friends or such topics as articles to read. So I can't really tell you how big this is. It's still a minority and I hope it decreases even and vanishes at some point, because racism in general is just something we can easily live without, and it's causing a lot of troubles up to this point that people get injured or even killed because of their race, ethnicity, the way they look. This kind of judgment and differentiation between people is just unnecessary and it hurts. It hurts humanity as a whole. Then there's also a minor form of racism, not minor, it's a different form of racism, which is anti-Semitism. And it happens in different cultural backgrounds of Germans or even non-Germans living in Germany. And anti-Semitism is the term for being against everyone who is a Semite, Jewish. But I think it is it has increased a little bit because of the situation in Israel, the current situation in Israel, even though it's a long-rooted situation. But this topic came up and has been discussed in German media as well, just very recently. And I think it's very, very important to distinguish between Jewish people in general, the Jewish religion and faith, and the Israeli government. So, there are different kinds of beliefs or actions which need different kind of reactions internationally. Then another point I want to criticize in Germany is bureaucracy. We have a high level of bureaucracy which prevents or even slows down the innovation and entrepreneurship culture. It can also happen that patents or developments for sustainable solutions cannot be financed by entrepreneurs themselves. They need investors, and this way the industry which wants to prevent competitive products coming to the market, they have an easy game just buying these patents and not ever developing them. There's also a lot of financial and legal risks involved in being an entrepreneur, and even the basics of being an entrepreneur are not being taught in schools, so it's really difficult for people to just get into that and learn that. Also, failure culture is a topic which needs to be addressed in this context. Another point is diversity. I've already spoken about racism, but then diversity also needs to be accepted and embraced in every aspect of life, not just as people in general, but also at the workplace, for example. And diversity factors are, of course, race, disability, gender, religion, beliefs, sexual orientation, and age, but also it includes something like social background, culture, personality, work style. And I have experienced that very often in work life, that there's this kind of glass ceiling which you can't really see, but you can't penetrate it when going up your career. I bet you know that. And then there's also one point I want to highlight, that's the fourth and last point I want to discuss, the complainism, as I call it. Germans like to complain a lot about the situations they are in. And especially we have a situation where we have rules for everything in everyday life. And when you're used to follow these kind of rules, you notice every slight deviation from it. And some Germans are just very likely to call that out. And that becomes kind of a complainism. Also, I observe there's too little appreciation for all the good things and situations we have here in Germany, especially compared to so many others globally. So I think the solutions for all of these issues are that we should just be more human and less judgmental. We should create less judgments and obstacles for ourselves as well as others. And if we meet each other with more empathy and cooperation on a local and global level, we can meet the challenges also on a local and global level all together. We all share this world and our lives here together. So together we can achieve more for the better of everyone. So thanks very much to Search India International to initiate this global dialogue and discussing the undiscussed.